The wait is over and Nintendo has finally released its two newest versions of the popular handheld console, the 3DS. There are now 5 altogether. The original 3DS, which we took a look at in an earlier review, its larger counterpart, the 3DS XL, and of course the cheap alternative, the Nintendo 2DS. But now the two latest ones have hit the shelves, aptly named the new 3DS and new 3DS XL. In this review, we are going to take a close look at the new XL version, which comes with some welcome and maybe not so welcome changes. So just how does it stack up to the previous ones, and is it worth the upgrade? If you've never owned the older XL system, then the size will take a little bit of getting used to. You won't be able to pack it into a case and have it sit comfortably in your pocket, but the advantages to a bigger system outweigh the cons. For those of us who grew up with the Game Boy just like me, we aren't kids anymore, and a lot of us want a bigger system compared to the original 3DS. This larger system just seemed to fit more comfortably in my adult hands. There have been a few minor cosmetic changes. On the outside, the game card slot has been moved to the bottom left hand corner. The power button has moved from the inside of the console to the bottom of the outside as well, along with the stylus, which is now a little bit thicker, plastic and shorter. The charger port now takes pride of place at the top of the console where the game card slot used to be. The most noticeable difference, however, is the addition of 2 extra shoulder buttons, the ZR and ZL. They stick out slightly further than the L and R buttons to stop any accidental presses. The home button hasn't moved, but the old one has been replaced with a much more tactile and easier to press one. The wireless switch has been completely removed and is now turned on inside the console's operating system, which is a little bit of an inconvenience but nothing major. The volume slider now resides on the left side of the top screen, and the 3D slider no longer has that irritating light telling you when you can use the effect, which you probably didn't use much anyway because of the 3DS's awful viewing angle. Which brings us on to one of the console's biggest selling points, the improved 3D functionality. When the original 3DS was first announced, much was said about its glassless 3-dimensional technology. It was called an innovation and revolution by many, but whatever you decided to call it, on release, it was far from perfect. One slight head movement and it broke the effect, leaving you feeling disorientated. It made using 3D and the console's gyroscope controls at the same time impossible. Thankfully, these problems have now disappeared with the new XL because it has a much larger viewing angle. This is thanks to the head tracking technology used by the console's camera. Move your head and the XL changes the position of the image on screen to follow your eyes, and it works well. Unfortunately, I can't show you the improved 3D effect through a camera, but I can assure you that while playing Pokemon, I never once wanted to turn it off. This is how it should have been done from the beginning. As you would expect, the console comes with bigger screens, but it's important to remember that the resolution of them remain the same, so some games can appear a little bit stretched and it can be noticeable for the first time, but it won't take you long to get over it. The top screen measures a massive 4.88 inches and the bottom screen 4.18 diagonally. This dwarfs the original screens, and it's the sort of change that makes it hard to go back to the old ways. Get ready to be completely immersed into the Mushroom Kingdom with these two huge screens and stunning 3D. Another one of the console's main selling points is its faster CPU. Games load up much faster and the OS is quicker and snappier. Nintendo has promised that exclusive games will be developed for the system to take advantage of the CPU, but so far all we have is Xenoblade Chronicles, and with the original 3DS's massive install base, it's hard to see why developers will want to solely make games for the new 3DS. It also comes with an analog nub that will be usable for exclusive games, and although it is surprisingly responsive, it is not an ideal replacement for a second analog stick, and it can feel a little bit awkward after extended periods of use. Something that may surprise you is its battery life. You would think that with the larger screens and more power consuming CPU, the battery would not last as long, or at most last the same amount of time as the original 3DS, but Nintendo has packed in a larger 1750 mAh battery. Without any fancy 3D effect or pumped up volume, it can last for up to 7 hours, while the original can only last for a maximum of 5. If you're an Amiibo fan, you're in luck. It comes with Amiibo support, so you can train, team up, or battle against your favourite characters in Super Smash Bros, just like you can on the Wii U. It now uses micro SD cards, and unfortunately the system isn't perfect, and what can only be described as a huge step backwards is the position of the slot. Basically, it's nowhere to be seen. You have to unscrew the back of the console and peel back the case to reveal the slot. In this sense, the new 3DS XL feels a bit old because of it deciding to not take expandable storage seriously. A weird omission is the fact that Nintendo has decided to not include a charger with the console. Yes, if you don't already own one from the previous 3DS, it has to be bought separately, something that will greatly confuse kids on Christmas morning when they can only get a couple of hours game time in because mum or dad couldn't see the teeny tiny writing on the box. But you can forgive them for that because even the most hardcore gaming enthusiasts would just assume that the console would come with a charger. The new 3DS XL is a weird console. It's not a true successor to the first 3DS like the Wii U is to the Wii or PS4 to the PS3, but it does come with a faster processor, which means that it will have exclusive games like Xenoblade Chronicles that just cannot be played on older consoles. But with the original 3DS's huge install base, it's hard to see why developers will want to jump onto the new 3DS bandwagon and make exclusive games and make this console worth the purchase. And if all you want is a bigger console with bigger screens, then you might want to consider picking up the older but cheaper XL. However, it is a must-have for people who want improved 3D, because it actually works now, and for those that also want extra battery life, this is the 3DS system for you. For more news and reviews, don't go anywhere else.